Hello and welcome. Today I'll be working on this National HRO-50-T. So this receiver has been with me now for a long time, and I decided to make a video so you guys can see what I'm going to be working on. I've decided to go ahead and maybe, recap it, repaint it, realign it, and you go ahead and use it. So I'm going to show you what's inside first. Let's take a look at the receiver. It's pretty much clean. Everything's there. I did notice way in the back where there's by the transformer, that little device right there. I'm not sure what it is yet. I haven't messed with it. It's not a calibrator of any type. I think it's some sort of FM, narrow FM. I'm not sure what it is, so I'm going to have to take a look and see what that's about. So as you can see, everything is there. It's clean. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take it apart and clean it up. Can you make that out? Somebody wrote on there TX crystal 452. So somebody physically wrote the crystal's frequency on that inside. That's pretty interesting. Let me flip it around so you can see. This receiver is very heavy. I mean, geez, talk about maybe what, 45, 50 pounds for a receiver. Oh, you see that white stuff on the back right here? Somebody told me, I've been reading, that could be asbestos or some sort of compound asbestos. And that is used, I think I remember reading somewhere, that is used to keep the heat inside the power transformer, the output, and the rectifier too, from doing any kind of a drifting into the main tuning area. Not sure, but that's what I've been reading. I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to take it off. I don't want it on there. I'm not sure if it is asbestos, and if it is, I'm going to take it off, so I don't have to breathe that stuff. I think it's okay as long as you don't mess with it. Should be fine, but I'm gonna take it off regardless. I don't want it on there. And as you can see, there is the two output 6v6 tubes, the rectifier tube back there, choke, power supply. I mean, everything is there. It's very clean, but it needs to be cleaned up. There's a lot of gunk. There's a lot of oil residue. I think the previous user was a smoker, and there's a lot of stain inside. It smells really bad. And what else can I tell you about this? You can't see it from here, but at the front dial where you twist the little dial to turn the frequency, the little glass right there where you the dial, that rubber is broken. I'll show you how to replace that or what to use. It's my equipment, and I'll be aligning it with that. I mean, it's a nice receiver. The National HRO, they're my favorite receiver. They're easy to work on. They're not complicated. Everything's online. On the back, I cut the cord. What is that? What am I looking at? Oh, that's the cord. I cut that because I didn't want to plug it in because it was all frayed. It has the output for 8 ohm or 500 ohm speaker. And there you can see the little device right there. Like I said, I gotta figure out what that is. It's not a crystal calibrator, it's something else. So if you know what that is, make a comment. As you can see, the enclosure is very rusty. That's why I want to paint it. Besides, I don't like that gray color. Gray color is boring. I'm not sure what color I'm going to paint it, but yeah, that gray color looks outdated. What it is, a receiver from the 50s, so But hey, it doesn't have to, you know? It's a neat receiver. As you can see, it came with a coil, coil E 900 to 1200. Yeah, it's a neat receiver. And like I said, there's plenty of them online. I had this one for about, I'm going on maybe what, 3, 4, 5 years now. And there's the coil pack. And inside, I want to show you what's inside the pin connectors, just to make sure those pin connectors are intact. Because if they're broken or bent, then we're in trouble with this receiver. So okay, so I'm gonna take off the bottom cover now. I'm gonna show you what's inside. It's the first time I'm looking into it. Oh, somebody's been in here. You can see those capacitors right there. I think they're 0.1. Yeah, somebody's been in there. So I'm going to go ahead and replace those. I'm going to replace everything. All the resistors, all the capacitors. It's really interesting how they just replaced a few of those capacitors. But if up in the upper left-hand corner by that switch, the wafer switch, if you pay attention, there's still capacitors inside there. I'm not sure why they didn't replace those. Maybe that's a different value. That's the power capacitor. That's going to be replaced. Output transformer right there. Yeah, so somebody's been in here. They've been replacing stuff here along the way. Not bad, not bad. Doesn't look like it's been molested that much. Just a couple of components here and there. There I see a couple electrolytics, those small ones that have been replaced. Somebody's using double those 2 capacitors on the upper right hand corner for a different value. Yeah, see that's modern or newer. Yeah, see those all those capacitors need to come out. From my last repair, those domino capacitors, there some of those are shorted too. Some of them can short out too. So I'm gonna start replacing those. They tend to be really leaky, or they short out, or one or the other. That's what I find out. Not always, but the last receiver that I was working on, they were very leaky. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace it. So I'm gonna take off the enclosure. I'm gonna take off the outer shell, and I'm gonna show you how to take it off. I think I remember in the video the process of taking those. Oh, let me zoom in. What am I trying to say here? Yeah, 0.1 at 250. I think that's the wrong value as far as voltage. I think you're looking at 450 or 400. That's too low. And look at on the upper left hand corner, that capacitor. Well, no, another one. Look at this. Yeah, look at that resistor. Interesting enough, some of those cool resistors, those carbon composite resistors, have the value written on it. I thought that was fascinating. Not too bad. It's a lot of work, but it can be done. In my opinion, once you have new resistors and capacitors installed, you align and tune this receiver will be an amazing receiver to use on a daily basis. It's also a good idea if you're working on your boat anchor receiver to make a video so you can document as you go along. Sometimes when you start replacing components and you might forget where they go or what of the value as well. So by making a video like this, you tend to document along the way. If there's any screw up with your soldering or your connection, you can double verify by watching your video. I think I'm referencing those capacitors back there in the corner, like I was mentioning, underneath that wafer switch. I mean, they replaced all the capacitors, but left those two in the back. Wonder why. Maybe they didn't have the right value, like I was mentioning. You know, I'm not sure about when you when you do your receiver up, when you replace components. I find that those resistors sometimes drift up to 50-60% of the value, either up or down. They're all over the place. And national receivers are notorious for having resistors that constantly drift. I'm not sure why, but I find that national receivers always have resistors that are constantly drifting. You know, I wanted to talk about some things. You see that device right there? That device there, I bought that a few weeks ago, and you put your iPhone in the middle, and you screw it down, and you hold the little handle down there, and you shoot your video just like that. But you know, that's not working for me. My hand it becomes very shaky, very top heavy, and when I start making the videos, I notice that I'm all over the place with that little device. It's really cool for outdoor activities, outdoor videoing, but close-ups like this, my hand starts shaking too much, so I'm not using that. So I'm gonna start taking this apart now, and I'm gonna show you the process of taking. The first things first, I'm gonna take off the front knobs, label the knobs, and I'm gonna show you how to take it apart. Okay, there it is. I took out the back cover. Now that's the plug-in module. Like I mentioned, I got to research to see what that's about. Put that aside. The back is easy to take off. You just a couple of screws on the back and then just it lifts and it moves out. You can see other 9-pin, 7-pin tubes. I think they're 7-pin. That stuff has to come off. That backing. Okay, so here I am with all the knobs removed. The front knob, screw in the middle. Those little handles have to come off first before you can take off the outer shell. I'm going to teach you how to take that off. I'm going to show you how to remove those two little handles. And like I mentioned, that has to come off first before you remove the outer. See in the back? See if you can, if I can zoom in. There's a screw that goes through the handle and it goes all the way through the back, and there's a screw in the back, and that's the tricky part. The tricky part is grabbing a socket. I think it's a 5/8, no 3/8 socket, and I'm talking about once you remove those two handles, it just pops. The chassis pops to the forward. So let's take those off. I'm not sure if you can make it out, but in the corner right underneath that, see what I'm twisting right there, the antenna trimmer? You see that socket right there? There's a screw down there. And like I mentioned, that screw is of 3/8. It's way down there underneath that little trimmer. You can barely make it out. You want to loosen that. Right there. Yeah, you want to twist, twist, twist. And that should come off. She's becoming loose now. I think those handles work as there it is. It came off. I took off the screw. Now pay attention. See that little washer right there? That goes in between the outer chassis and the inside chassis. Don't lose any of that, because it's gonna be a pain trying to replace it. So that came off. There's a little washer in the back, so make sure you don't drop anything or loose anything. So there's the screw. I mean the nut. Now the same thing for the next one. That one is trickier because that nut's in the back underneath the off and on switch, or the little switch down there. It's down there on the right hand lower corner. So you're going to have to get your socket from back there and somehow twist and see if it can be removed. That part is tricky. Here you go. I'm loosening it. Once again, that's a 3/8 socket. Those things are really on there tight. There it is, came off. There's the washer, lock washer, and a little nut in the back. And see the little tab right there? That tab holds the outer chassis to the inside chassis. And that's pretty much it. I think you might have to also take out a couple of screws, not screws, those little screws that hold on to the off and on switch and the volume control and stuff like that. Okay, I think I'm ready to remove the, oh, I think I'm talking about the, make sure you use a long shaft to go in there and pry out the bolt. Gotta be careful, because once you start putting heavy screws in there, I mean heavy tools, you don't want to damage anything or twist anything. Okay, so right there, those are the little what do you call the feet? You gotta remove the feet. The feet is what's holding the outer chassis to the inside chassis. I remove those. Now everything should be loose and everything should come off. You know, it's really tricky removing the outer shell. If you're not careful, you'll pinch your fingers like I did from the. I'm trying to pull from the back, and as I'm pulling from the back, there's not much give. You'll pinch yourself. So there it is. There's the receiver with the outer chassis removed. Just came right out through the front. I'm trying to focus inside so you can see those little connectors, those little finger connectors, that contacts that connect to the coil. You got to make sure those are still intact, they're not bent or twisted or anything, because if those are missing or gone or damaged, you're pretty much screwed. Oh, that came off. They took off all the screws on there, the little not screws, little bolts that hold that on. The lock washer, and then there's this set screw that locks it in place. That's another thing you gotta be careful with when you're taking this apart, because that needle, the tuning needle, the indicator, is just up in the air, and if you're not careful, you can bent it or damage it. See right there? That's what I'm talking about. Those little fingers. See all that gunk on that? You gotta make sure those are clean. Gotta make sure those are still there, intact. Because like I was mentioning, if those are missing, you're gonna have a hell of a time trying to figure out where to get another of those little fingers. They're full of little carbon composite. They're full of just carbon contacts. I think those contacts are made of some sort of silver. Some sort of silver thin metal. Because they become corroded. Okay, so here am I in the backyard. And I'm using calcium, lime, and rust remover. I'm going to use some of that. And I'm going to spray it all over the back, the chassis, everywhere. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to wash it down. And all that needs to come off. I need to wet that first. Get the power, get the hose. And just scrape it. But first it needs to be wet. I use an empty glass cleaner and put some of that stuff inside the glass cleaner. That stuff stinks, so if you do buy some of that, I do recommend that. It cleans the rust really well, but you better do that outside because that stuff stinks. And so here I am spraying everywhere. Don't be afraid, just spray the hell out of it. Use a brush like I did right there to go in there and wipe it down and clean up all the junk. Be very careful when you're messing with those little fins. Use a very, very soft paintbrush. You want to lather it up. I think I've lathered this thing up several times before I finally rinsed it. And don't be afraid of getting it wet. You're going to take this apart like I did. I'm going to take off the transformers anyway. So I have transformers. So I'm going to take them off. Clean them up. Just be gentle. And just work your way all the way around your receiver. Just sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm showing you that I'm going to use the spatula to take that crap out of there. Okay, so here I am with the hose now. Once you take all that stuff off, you just be careful. Put it in a plastic bag. I should have worn gloves, but I forgot. That stuff comes off. That's all the adhesive. I'm sure that's not safe, but hey, I'm trying to be as careful as I can. Like I said, I don't know if that's asbestos, or I don't know if it's some sort of just insulator, but I'm not taking that chance. I'm scraping it off. See all that stuff? Put it in a trash bag and throw it away. Okay, so here it is. I let it sun bathe or sun dry. See those things that I'm pointing out? Those are little rivets that are holding the back. I gotta drill those out. And what I did, I drilled them out from that side, and I used the punch, and it just came right out. Big difference, huh? Very shiny, very clean. That stuff works. It's amazing how it cleans the ceramic. Cleans those little that capacitor. It just cleans it just leaves a little leaves like a little, not a residue, but some sort of film on top where you can just it comes off when with the rag. But it's very clean. Brings out the shine and all those metal and aluminum underneath. Look how clean that looks. Look at that. I think I used a rag to dry it down too, pat it dry. I let it sit there until it was fully dry. Then I brought it in the shop. So here it is in the shop, all cleaned up. Look how shiny that thing looks. Look at that. I still have to remove those that choke and that power supply. I got to move it over and remove some of that stuff that's right behind those two choke and power supply. Some of that asbestos crap. Yeah, it looks very, very clean compared to how it was before. See those holes right there? Those were where the rivets were holding the back of that asbestos stuff. I just punched them out, drilled them out. And there it is. It's ready. So the next video, I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing next. I'm going to go through the receiver, make sure everything is lubed, make sure everything is still intact and I didn't do any damage to anything. Then I'm going to flip it over and slowly start working on removing components, replacing capacitors and resistors one by one. Yeah, not bad. You just have to be very careful and very cautious. My biggest worry is that little needle, that's the indicator. I don't want to damage that or dent that in any way. Oh, I see on top I took out the indicator, the numbers the little glass dial with the numbers on it. I took that off. It comes off. It's underneath, nice and shiny. All those components are going away. New components. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you next time. And thank you so much for watching. Talk to you later.